Good morning, good morning, good morning. What day is today? It is Monday, the first day of spring. Wow. How did that happen? Finally, thank God, right? We needed this. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Coffee Talk with Karen. I am having my coffee right now. And I wanted to say happy spring. And obviously, with spring, it is new beginnings. And I'm all about new beginnings, the phoenix rising, if you will. And I wanted to instill this in you guys today. Forgive yourself. So I was having a conversation last night, and we were talking about, life and certain other things, and another topic that I'll get into on another day, basically about like you couldn't be the person you are today had you not gone through what you did yesterday, right? But with life, we tend to make mistakes, and that's part of growing. So the thing about a mistake is you got to learn from it, right? And some people continue to make the same mistakes over and over again, and they never learn from their mistakes because they never, what's the word I'm going to use? They never reflect on their role in the things that are going on in their life, right? Because maybe they're the victim, maybe they just don't get it, and it continues to be, I don't know why this always happens to me. Well, where's the common denominator? Sometimes our actions put us in these situations, right? Because for every action, there is a reaction. That said, sometimes we do the wrong thing. Now, sometimes we do the wrong thing. We know we're doing the wrong thing, and we still do it anyway, right? So when I was having this conversation last night, it was like, well, I can't forgive myself for these things, was what the other person was saying. And I said, well, you have to. And they said, well, I can't. I didn't make a mistake. I knew what I was doing, and I don't like what I did. And I said, okay, well, you know what? Sometimes in life, we do things we know are wrong, but we still do them, right? And you got to get from point A to point B. So in my personal situation, after losing my husband, I didn't know how to deal with life, and I definitely made very bad decisions. I was drinking more than I should have, and I wasn't in my right state of mind, and I knew that eventually I would stop drinking. I knew eventually I would stop all of these things because I knew what I was doing, and I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I didn't know how to not do it. So I would wake up in the middle of the night with my heart pounding out of my chest, and I would like reflect back on all the things that I was doing that I didn't like myself for doing, right? And at some point in time in our lives, we've all done things that, we don't like what we did, right? Whether it's you were on a diet and you went off your diet like an animal, whether it was you had one too many drinks and you got in the car to drive home, whether it was you had one too many drinks and ended up going home with somebody that you would have never gone home with, right? I mean, there are things in life that we do, and those are just a few, right? I could go off on a tangent on all of those things, but at some point, you have to release that from your psyche, right? Because you can't heal while you're still paying a price for something. So, in other words, like if you commit a crime and you go to jail, right? You serve your time for your mistake. And then when you come out of jail, Now you have served your time, and you go about your life again, right? So it's kind of the same thing with ourselves and forgiving ourselves, right? We've done what we've done. If you reflect what you've done and you don't do it again, you have to forgive yourself for it and think of it as a learning process, right? So, okay, this is how I handled a bad situation. Every time a bad situation came around, I drank. Now I think that there's a better way to handle that situation. And instead of drinking, I'm going to do this, right? So, is it easy to forgive yourself? Not always. And there are some people that don't even hold themselves accountable for anything. And I don't know whether that's a blessing or a curse, because I feel if you don't hold yourself accountable, you'll never change. That being said, once you hold yourself accountable, you have to recognize, your role in it, and then you have to release it. You can't continue to beat yourself up over something that you did. Um, and think you can move forward, right? So it's like if there's infidelity in a relationship, right? And somebody cheats on, a wife cheats on their husband, for instance, and the husband knows the wife cheated and he accepts the fact that she's sorry, and now they're going to stay together. Now, of course, this is always going to be in the back of your head, right? Because this person cheated on you. But at the same token, if you live the rest of your life making her pay for the mistake she made, then you're never going to live a good life, right? If you forgive her for the infidelity and you move forward with your relationship, the odds are that maybe this was just a random thing that happened and it won't ever happen again, right? So you forgive and you move on. So it's this, and if you are not going to forgive and move on, then, and you can't forgive somebody for cheating on you, then you end the relationship, right? So it's all about your willingness of what you will and won't accept. And so I hold myself at a very high regard, 100%. And it took me a very long time to learn how to forgive myself, because sometimes we got to do what we got to do, and we got to get from point A to point B. And life is not kind, and the hits keep coming. So if you're like me and you've had these, issues, if you will, and things have happened to you in your lifetime, and you've made maybe poor decisions, or you've done things that you're not the proudest of, you have to just say, you know what? I'm not proud of those things, but now I'm going to move forward. So I tell you today to forgive yourself. Today is the first day of spring, new beginnings. If anybody is listening live, let me get an amen. And if you're not listening live and you're catching this on the replay, I hope that this will definitely linger in the back of your mind to forgive yourself. And certainly don't forget to hit that follow button so you know when I go live, because I do it kind of randomly. And I just try to share my thoughts for the day. So today's thoughts for the day is forgiveness. Forgive yourself, forgive others. Just let it be a peace, because if you ever go to therapy, my therapist always had told me that when you discuss something or try to make right with something, you tell somebody how they made you feel, not because you expect anything in return from them, but because getting it out of you is better than holding it in you. So remember that. Forgiveness goes a long way. And you know what? Bless it, release it, and keep it moving, because staying in a stagnant place will only bring stagnance to your life. So remember that. Forgive yourself, forgive others. I never forget. Don't get me wrong. I don't forget what I'm forgiving myself for, so that I hold myself accountable. So God willing, I don't do it again. And I don't forget what others are capable of, so that I don't put myself in that vulnerable situation again. So, it's all about perspective. So, I'm always trying to show different perspectives on life and situations. So, forgive yourself, forgive others, and you will find much more peace in your life and you will be able to move forward and bring better things to you. So, happy Monday, happy spring. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.